In a world clamoring for connection, the most meaningful messages are found in the quiet. This is The Signal, a show about the craft of writing, the journey inward, and the courage to bring your truest voice to light. I'm Terry Pappy, your host and fellow writer, and I'm here to guide you through the noise to the signal. Welcome back to The Signal. I am Terry Pappy, your host, and this is the official first episode. The last one, or the one prior to this, was the trailer, which I wanted to get out because I just wanted to have a line in the sand as far as this is the start of The Signal. So it kind of forced me to commit to a schedule, and the show's going to come out every other week because we all need time to write, including yours truly. And I am working on a very exciting new writing project, a book, nonfiction. It's going to be about and for writers. It's all just kind of aligning with everything I'm doing with this show and where I'm at in my writer's journey. So one of the things that was always important to me with this show and just with the writing groups that I'm running in general, the virtual one I'm designing right now, as well as the real butts in chair community of Verano writers that I have here in my community. What a great group of people. I love my writers, and we have so much fun every Monday morning. But I'll tell you that story maybe on the next episode because it's a really cool story. The number one thing that I want you to get out of this as a writer, whether you've been writing your whole career like myself, or whether you're just thinking about getting back to it or starting, wherever you're at, you are on the writer's journey. And if you're feeling those stories, those words that want to come out, I'm here to help you not just bring them out, but get you to put pen to paper. That's the number one thing. So the anchor that you will find on just about every episode, I'm not so sure I'm going to be able to get to it on my guest episodes, but I definitely will be asking my guests to come up with a prompt. But the power of the writing prompt is amazing. And that's what I want this episode to be about, because it's really clear to me that we need to understand that it's not just a way to get you to start writing, although that is the kind of on the surface, the power of it. But what it does when you are given a writing prompt, whether it's something physical, somebody says something or, says, here, finish this line or whatever. It's a photograph. Someone reads a poem or whatever, because the power that lies inside the writing prompt because of the context that it has in allowing you to access your inner voice, if you have the courage to give yourself permission to do so. And it doesn't mean that whatever you create as a result of the prompt is something you need to turn into a novel or, read from the stage. It's just a way to get the lubrication and the words flowing. I believe that there's this internal source in every one of us that has all the stories, all the connections, all of the reasons why, all of the words, all of the desire to create tension or create love or create fun, fantasy, whatever it is inside of us. And that magic, some people call it a muse, some people call it their higher self, call it what you will, but it is the source. It's like the fountain of words, kind of like you got the fountain of youth. Well, this is the fountain of words. And what that does is when you can connect consciously with that through the act of writing. That's why I love writing analog, just getting a pen and a journal or a bunch of paper and just starting to write is so powerful, because what that does is that brings you so much closer to what's available. I've often said, and I've actually heard other writers say this, that their book or that project is already written in their brain. They just need to sit down at the paper and let it come out, or sit down at the keyboard and let it come out. And I really believe that, because once you hit that fountain of words, that inner writer, your voice, that true spirit of the message that you want to get out to your audience, once you hit it, once you connect with it, it's like a vein of gold. And so the art of writing is not just coming up with the right plot or the scene or the arc or the chemistry between characters or the even just the right words or sentence structure. What it's really about is accessing that vein of gold that's inside each and every one of us. And that's why, with the world populated with so many writers, thank you for that, by the way, no one should really feel diminished or like, oh, somebody else already probably wrote that story, so I'm not going to bother. Or, oh, there's too many blog people out there. There's too many novelists. There's too many people writing that kind of book. Whatever the story is, oh boy, are we going to be doing some damage to stories, by the way. Whatever it is, doesn't matter because each one of us has that unique vein of gold, that access point that generates a very, very unique set of words, set of output that is truly spirit led, in my opinion. Not to get too esoteric on you. I just get really passionate when I'm talking about that stuff. So I have to tell you that, that's really what I want to do. I want to help you access that on a very regular basis. No different than starting a workout regimen or getting yourself onto a better diet or doing just something that is healthy for yourself, finding more time to relax or just be with people you love or play with your dog or whatever it is. And these moments where we have those kind of more free spaces to be are where we get those ideas. And the ideas happen in the oddest times and places. I mean, I'll be out for a walk or I'll be driving to the bank or whatever, and I'll get this crazy idea for a story or crazy idea for a chapter I'm working on if I'm in the middle of a book project. And I love that. And when you're able to sustain access to that portal, if you will, that inner portal of storytelling, of that imagination that you have, it's just such a great feeling. It's so satisfying. That's really what I want this show to be about. I want you to listen to every episode and walk away with some sort of inspiration that gets you to sit down and try to build or reconnect or open up that connection that you have with that inner writer and develop and allow yourself, give yourself permission to take the time to get to know that inner voice and to trust that what comes out is pure gold. I think that's a great analogy, actually. And I'll give you an example. So in my Monday morning writing group that I lead, and I'll tell you, I'll try to remember to tell you about that in the next episode or forthcoming episodes. And so my role in this group is I facilitate it. So I created the group. I invited people to come and write. It's a very positively charged environment. It's not a critique group. It's not instructional. It's not about grammar or anything. It's just about the act of writing. And we all support each other and we're all equal writers. There's not these mega bestseller published novelists among us. I mean, we're all recreational writers. We just love writing. And maybe we would like to take on a larger project or something with a little bit more significance. And so what I do is not just facilitate, but I also bring in writing prompts. And I try to create a lot of variety in the writing prompts. And one day I decided to bring in postcards. I was looking for photographs and just like on big cards or whatever. And I couldn't really find anything. So I found on Amazon these postcards that had all sorts of different images, photographs, and like an old truck or a bridge or two people walking down the beach or a shell or whatever. And I love the variety. They were all really different. And I brought in a bunch of these postcards and my writers, they laugh because they never know what I'm going to drop in their lap as far as writing. And we meet for 90 minutes. And so I try to get 2 writing prompts in front of them and I write with them. Okay, this is really important for you to remember. So one particular day, a couple of weeks ago, I brought in the postcards and I just went around and I kind of fanned about like playing cards. And I said, here, pick one. And they were all turned over so you couldn't see what the image was. So they would pick one and then they'd turn it over and look at it. And so once I got everybody to pull a postcard, I said, okay, write for 20 minutes. And they're like, huh? So it took everybody a minute, but the less framing or context that I put around a writing prompt, the better, because it allows them to interpret it any way they want. And what's really powerful, and this is another thing about writing prompts, the really powerful thing is wherever they're at in their writing journey, whether they're just playing around and just, starting to work on a new journal just to get the muscles flowing, or if they're actually trying to frame out a book or do a memoir or whatever it is. I have one of my writers is working on a fantasy book. And so she knows where she's at in the process of fleshing out all these chapters and telling the story, introducing characters and so on. And so she's going to use that prompt where she needs to take the next step in her journey as far as what she's working on. And it ended up being a real powerful thing for her. Anyway, so after I had them pick their postcard, I went back down to the front and I sat down and I opened up my journal and I still had, maybe 6 or 7 cards in my hand. And I had them still, I wasn't looking at them and I kind of fanned them out for myself and I picked one. And the one I picked was a woman who was rock climbing. And for some reason, you're going to laugh. For some reason, I was like, oh man, because I don't know what I was thinking. This is so funny because I write with everybody else. And I looked at this image and I was like thinking to myself, how am I going to use this to write for 20 minutes? And I'm just sitting there staring at it like, what? And most of the things that I've been writing with everybody else in the room have been pretty banal. It's just I'm getting my writer's muscles back in shape after 13 years of being away from writing books. I have never stopped writing. And the books that I've published, the last one I published was in 2013. So it's been a while. I'm a little rusty. So I was so happy to be able to write with other writers and kind of get those muscles working again. So here I am holding this postcard, this 4x6 postcard that has a woman rock climbing. And you can't see her face. You're just kind of looking at her back as she's climbing up the wall. And all of a sudden, I started writing about relationships. And it really, I surprised myself. So I somehow tapped something. I was a little blown away by what was there. It's not what I was thinking. It's not what I was attributing to working on any kind of project or anything. It was the most bizarre thing. And this is why I love the writing prompt, because it was such an odd thing for me to write. And it was very vulnerable, very emotional, definitely tied to my own personal life and the journey that I've been on recently. And I felt a strong desire to read what I wrote. Now, I don't do that in every session, but if we have a smaller group, some folks are out or whatever, and I'm able to see that there's time or not enough people are raising their hand, because I make it all voluntary. If they don't want to read what they wrote, they don't have to, right? So I was like, okay, you guys want to, and I asked them, I said, do you want to hear what I wrote? And they're like, yeah, because I don't always read what I write. It's, for me, it's about them and getting them to experience not only more confidence in reading and sharing what they write, even in very loose draft form, but also to hear the feedback. And it's only positive. I only encourage positive feedback because that is so vital. And it also tunes your listening, because we're so used to being critical about everything, aren't we? It's really true. So I read this to the room and everybody's like, wow, Terry, that was very different from what you normally write. And I'm like, yeah. This one of my writers says, you just described my entire last marriage. I was like, okay, that wasn't really what I was. But what's amazing about the comments I got was that how many people really aligned with the energy and what I was able to put on paper in just that very rough form based on a frickin' postcard of a woman rock climbing. I mean, really, it's crazy, and I amaze myself, and that's why I love the writing prompt, What the writing prompt will do for you is help you break free of any barriers, whether they be self-imposed, and for most writers, it is a self-imposed barrier. Could be a story, belief, thing that you're putting in the way of getting in front of doing your writing. There's a million of them, and we are definitely going to be doing some damage to those for sure. In fact, that's a big part of the book that I'm writing. My goal is to have a writing prompt in every episode, and yes, I'm going to be giving you one in this episode. And I want you to think about how you can use that writing prompt to address some of the belief challenges that you have. Is it about, I have writer's block, or is it about, I don't have enough time? I mean, there's so many of them, believe me. I know, because I've had quite a few myself. Those stories keep us from accessing that vein of gold, that story that's within us, that essence of who we are that only we can create based on the experiences we've had in life, the attitudes we have, our personality, our desire for more humor, more levity, more inspiration, more connection. And all of these things contribute to what we're doing when we're writing. So the video podcast is on YouTube, and I also have a companion newsletter called The Signal. How original, right? The Signal newsletter. And in this newsletter is obviously I'm going to be having the podcast will be on, the most recent one will be listed there. But I will also have a blog post dedicated to the Signal, and I will be offering writing prompt, examples, whatever. I mean, I'm still kind of formulating it, but definitely writing prompts in every single one of those. And I want to write about the writing life and give you access to the things that not only just the tools that are available out there. And again, I'm not here to teach. I'm not here to tell you about active voice versus passive voice. I will share the things that I've learned as a writer. And believe me, I am a recreational writer. Yes, I have several books on Amazon, and I hope to have many more. I love to publish books because I love to complete things. I love to take on a project, especially a creative project, and I love to get it finished. So that's what I'm getting back to. And the newsletter is going to be specifically about kind of supporting that. Like, you can listen to the podcast, but I want you to read these posts. I want you to read what I'm putting out there from the standpoint of either it's a sample of what I'm writing. Like, I might even go ahead and put what I did for this writing prompt in this first newsletter, which I'm really excited about putting out there. So look for that. Get your writing prompt. I'll also have writing prompts here. So every week, my plan is that you get 2 writing prompts, one from the show, and then, of course, one in the newsletter, because I want to keep that pen moving, right? That's the goal. I think what I'll do in this first writing prompt in the newsletter is I'm going to do maybe some visual ones to kind of recapture what I did with these postcards. So we'll see. I might just surprise you. But in this episode, I want to leave you with this writing prompt. And it's more of I don't want to give you too much framing around it, but I really want you to start thinking about why you're not writing more. So if you're not writing at all, then, well, that'll be an easy one, right? So why are you not writing at all? It can be as simple as just journaling every morning. Like, I journal every morning, just like, here's what I did yesterday. This is what I want to work on today. And I had this big breakthrough. That's kind of like your typical diary entry. But every now and again, I come across something that I'm like, ooh, I need to expand on this a little bit, or I'll come up with a writing prompt for my group. The writing prompt I have for you is this. And it is, I'm not writing more frequently because ... I have a writer in my group, and she said, I remember one day I came in, I had 2 prompts that I was going to be using for the last prompt of the day, and I couldn't decide which one. And I asked my writers, I said, okay, I got one that's like a 3-parter that they can do the first part, the first and the second, or the whole thing. Or I can do one where it's like, the sentence that's unfinished. So it's like ... And I had one of my writers go ... I like that one. Because the first writing prompt I did for my very first cohort was I remember the day we first met. ... So, what I'd like to give you for this first podcast prompt is the reason I'm not writing more frequently is ... So, go ahead and just explore that. Now, you can turn that into anything you want. You can use it as you have a character in your story that is a writer, and they are having their own experience of being too busy or having writer's block or whatever it is that's keeping them from writing their story. Like they started something very personal and then they got to the point where they're like, this is too personal and I can't finish this. I can't keep working on it. It's just too much. I don't want to overplay the context of that prompt, but that's the one that I would love for you to try on. And yeah, it might be like a little self-therapy, self-examination, but sometimes when we give ourselves permission to really answer a question like that, we can have some real breakthroughs in what we're trying to get accomplished in life with our writing. So I wish you well. Get that pen out and get some writing done. See you in the next show.